Multiple people will buy those bonds and use them as investment value. Our schools do that a lot. We do bonds for new schools, revamping schools, new stadiums, new baseball stadiums, all those kinds of things. We've done that a lot in our district. So um, that's something that you may have heard of. Okay, and that's how the district gets money to be able to do those big things like build new buildings and such. Okay. So in our example, we're paying the interest twice a year, and then we would pay the balance when it becomes due. But basically, you just take again the principal times the interest rate times the fraction of the year. So if we're doing this twice a year, every 6 months, that's 180 days. It's half of the 360, right? Because we're using that 360 amount. And then that will tell us what that interest payment is that we're paying each time. Okay, so for the working together, 18.2, we're going to do a long-term note. We're going to issue a bond, and then we're going to do payments on those. Okay? All right, so with our 18.2 in our hand, we have page 6 of the cash receipts journal and page 12. And again, we're doing long-term debt. Okay, so long-term is greater than 1 year. Okay, we're doing, 5, 10, 20-year loans. Okay, so it tells us that on June 1st, we are signing a 5-year note. So we're getting the $25,000. So it's going to be cash receipts. So on June 1st, and we're going to use a account type here called long-term notes payable. Okay. The other one we had just left as notes payable, even though it was really short term, but this one we're going to go ahead and label long term. Keep it separate in our books. Okay, there's our document number, R337. The payable, the liability is going to be $25,000, and we're going to get $25,000 in cash. Okay, so our cash is going up, and what we owe, our liability is going up. Okay, then on July 1st, we're issuing a 20-year 20-year 6%, and they're $5,000 bonds for a total of $200,000. So it's multiple bonds, but grouped together to be a total of $200,000. Again, this is July 1st. This is bonds payable. Our document numbers are R345. Okay, and we're getting $200,000, and we're going to owe $200,000. So $200,000 is our liability. Our cash, $200,000. Of course, cash is going up. Our liabilities are going up. Okay. All right. Then on December 1st, we're paying cash for the payment of $518.96. So here, this is a table telling us breaking down our payments for this loan. Okay, and so you can see here the beginning balance is $25,000. After we make the first payment, part of that is interest, part of that is principal, and then just taking the principal from the balance, this is how much we still actually owe. And then that becomes our new beginning balance. Okay, and then we've got some interest, some principal, the balance minus the principal gives us our new ending balance, and so on. Okay, so what you should see is a pattern that the interest is actually decreasing as the amount of the principal is increasing. And that's kind of how most of these loans work, is that you're paying mostly interest at the beginning of the loan, and then it takes a while before you're actually paying mostly principal. Okay, the banks want to get their money first, and so they kind of build it that way a lot of times. Okay, so for this one, it tells us that 518.96, that's going to be the cash credit every time, but our interest and principal will change depending on the month. So this is for December 1st. It is a cash payment, and it's on that long-term note. Okay, we're writing a check. It's check 842. Okay, that check is for 518.96. All right, and then part of that, and again, this is December 1st, part of that is principal and part of that is interest. And so we're going to get the numbers from right here. Okay, so the what amount we're paying on the principal of the note is 344.08, and the interest expense is 174.88. Okay, so cash is decreasing, the note's payable, we're not going to owe as much, and we're not going to owe as much, and the interest expenses are always increasing. Okay, all right, then the next for December 31st, we are paying just the interest on that bond. So this is interest expense. Okay, this is that semi-year payment, or semi-year interest, and this is just a note for you. Okay, 861 is the check number, and we need to figure out how much we owe on that. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch to a pen because I think my pencil's out of. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, then interest expense. So it's a $200,000 loan. There's our principal times the 6% times the time. So it's a half a year, that 180 over 360. So once you do that math, then it should be $6,000. Okay, so we're doing that twice a year. So you're paying $12,000 a year just in interest on that $200,000 loan or bond. Okay, so that's the cost of being able to borrow that money and do those big projects. All right. Just to show that that came from right there. That's where that number came from. Okay, cash decreasing, interest expense increasing. Again, just paying attention how these numbers change. Okay, there you go. There's 18.2.